Father's House, Angel Star here. We have a very special guest I want to talk and introduce you to today. Her name is Colleen Taylor. She's coming all the way from Zimbabwe. We're actually here in Crestwood, Kentucky at her daughter's home, and we just had lunch with her. And I'd like her to just share with us today how she met Pastor Lisa. I understand it was in 2006. You guys met physically in Zimbabwe at your home, but then you also got to know her a little bit beforehand through a phone call. Can you tell us about the connection that was made and how that came about with you meeting Pastor Lisa over the phone?
Yes, Pastor Lisa's relative Ken had been working with my daughter in Kentucky, and he'd heard about all the problems she'd had in Zimbabwe, and he was horrified when Lisa wanted to go to Zimbabwe, and he phoned her and said, well, will you please tell her what's happening there so that she won't go? And she said to me, oh, I'm tired of talking about it, you talk to her. So I told her a long story about all the terrible things that were going on, and she said, yes, well, I know most of that. She said, I've been to Mozambique, and feel I've been called to go to Zimbabwe and try and help. And so I said, well, you're welcome, and I gave her my address and of my brother-in-law, who's a judge who might be able to help her if she got into difficulties. And then she came to visit me not on my farm, at my home in the Vumba in Zimbabwe.
Wow. And she
so
came, and
yes.
she met you at your house nonetheless. She's our fearless leader.
She is.
And I understand you're a pretty fearless woman yourself as well. You were born and raised in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And you're going back tomorrow.
Yes.
To Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a strong, mighty woman as well. And I'm honored to know you. Can you just tell us just real briefly about your heritage in Zimbabwe, about the generations that have been there?
Mm-hmm. Well, we've been there over 100 years now.
Wow.
My grandfather was a pioneer. He came up in 1890 with Cecil John Rhodes's pioneers, and he settled in the Vumba Mountains, where I still live, and farmed. And he was also the first speaker of the Southern Rhodesian Parliament. And then my father was farming there, and he handed over his farm to me and my sisters. And my husband and I were growing fruit and flowers. And in 2003, my farm was given to a major in the Zimbabwe Army as part of the resettlement program that President Mugabe had. And I lost everything there, so luckily I had my sister's house that had belonged to my parents to move into. They built that house in 1958 and lived there until they died. And so I was lucky to be able to go back there. So that's where I live today, and that's where Lisa came a couple of times to visit me. The first time they came, I wasn't really expecting them that night, and we had no electricity. There was a power cut, and I heard this car hooting at the gate. I keep my gate locked at night, and it was raining, so they were quite persistent. I didn't know who it was, so I thought, well, I better go and see. So I put on my gumboots and took my shotgun and went out to the gate, and there was Lisa and Pastor Vicky and some other friends from America and from Zimbabwe, and they all came and spent the evening with me. We had a great time, and they've been back again, and here we are now in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And Pastor Vicky as well.
It's amazing. And I heard that you're a great dancer and that you enjoy Dolly Parton records. Is this correct?
I'm not a great dancer, but I do enjoy Dolly Parton, and I enjoy dancing. But
that's wonderful. Well, I would love to dance with you sometime. I would be honored to. That's great. Do you want to cut it? Okay. We can cut it there.